The first thing I remember about that day was how quiet the house was. Too quiet. The kind of silence that feels wrong, that feels like someone's missing. And this time, someone was. My little girl, Emily, should have been there. She should have been running down the hallway, begging me to braid her hair or asking for pancakes. But instead, I was holding a black dress in my hands, staring at the mirror with empty eyes, because today wasn't about life. Today was about saying goodbye to the only person who ever loved me without conditions. I don't know how long I sat on the edge of the bed before I picked up the phone. My fingers trembled as I dialed my mom's number for what felt like the 100th time that week. This time, she actually answered. Her tone was sharp, like I'd interrupted her morning coffee. "What now?" she asked flatly. "Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video." "Mom," I whispered, voice cracking. I need you here tomorrow. Please, I can't do this alone. It's Emily's funeral. She deserves—" She cut me off with a long sigh, heavy with irritation instead of grief. "We've already been through this, honey. We can't cancel this trip. We paid $13,000 for it, non-refundable. Chloe's been planning this vacation for months. Do you know how selfish it would be to ruin it for everyone now?" Selfish. I gripped the phone tighter, my heart twisting. "She was your granddaughter," I said in disbelief. "She adored you. She used to wait by the window when you visited, and you can't give her one day? One final goodbye?" Mom's voice turned icy. "You can't keep expecting the world to stop for your drama. We'll send flowers. That's enough. You should focus on moving on instead of making this harder than it already is." I wanted to scream, but the words stuck in my throat. Moving on? Emily was barely 10. She never got to dance in the school recital she practiced for every day. She never got to go to the beach she begged me to take her to last summer. She never got to grow up. How do you move on from that? When I hung up, my hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped the phone. I dialed my dad's number next, praying for something different, for even the smallest sign of love from him. He answered on the second ring, his voice gruff. "Hey, kiddo, what's wrong?" "Dad," I choked out, tears spilling freely now. Please come tomorrow. I can't stand there alone. I can't bury my baby by myself." There was a pause long enough for hope to flicker in my chest, but then he cleared his throat and said, "Sweetheart, listen, what happened to Emily? It's tragic, but you're strong. You've always been strong. Life goes on, you hear me? Sitting around crying won't bring her back. You don't need us there holding your hand." I froze, clutching the phone so hard my knuckles turned white. "You're her grandparents," I whispered. "She loved you so much." His voice turned cold. "I can't afford to cancel the trip either. It's just bad timing, that's all. We'll send a card, okay?" Bad timing. Like my daughter had been an inconvenience, like her death was a scheduling conflict. I tried Chloe next, my last hope. She picked up on the third try, laughter and background music spilling through the speaker. "Oh, hey, sis, we're packing right now. What's up?" My voice cracked as I begged. "Chloe, please. You're her aunt. Don't let me stand there alone. Don't let me bury Emily by myself." There was a pause, then a light giggle. "Aw, don't be dramatic. We'll toast to her from the beach, promise. She'd want us to be happy, right? Don't ruin this trip for everyone with all the sadness. You know how Mom gets." My breath hitched, a sob clawing at my throat, but I forced my voice to stay steady. "Fine," I said, numb. "Toast her from the beach." And I hung up. The next day, I stood by Emily's small white coffin, clutching a photo of her smiling face, her little hands clutching the tutu she'd been so proud of. The room was filled with kind neighbors, a few friends, and her classmates holding crayon-colored cards with shaky handwriting that said, "We'll miss you, Emily." But not my family. The front row was empty. The people who should have been there most were thousands of miles away, sipping cocktails, taking selfies, smiling like the world was perfect. Every time the door creaked open, I looked up, praying it was them, but it never was. Just another stranger offering condolences, another reminder that I was alone. The pastor's voice blurred in my ears. My knees almost buckled when they lowered her into the ground. My little girl deserved more than this. She deserved love. She deserved to be remembered by the people who called themselves family. When everyone left, I stayed. The rain soaked through my dress as I sat on the wet grass, tracing her name on the headstone with trembling fingers. My tears mixed with raindrops, my whole body shaking with grief and rage. I thought about every time my parents said family first when it was about Chloe. Every time they told me I was too emotional, too dramatic, too much trouble. And now they had left me to bury my baby alone because a vacation was worth more than her life. That was the moment something inside me hardened. It wasn't just grief anymore. It was a promise that this would not be another betrayal they got to walk away from. They chose money, drinks, and beaches over Emily. One day, I was going to make them feel what real abandonment tasted like. One day, they were going to stand in front of empty chairs, needing someone to show up, and realize they had destroyed the only love that ever would have. I leaned against the headstone and whispered, "I'm sorry, baby. Mommy couldn't make them love you, but I swear, I'll make sure they never forget what they did." The days after Emily's funeral blurred together in a haze of grief and rage. I barely ate. I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her smiling face, that little gap in her teeth, the way she used to say, "You make everything better, Mommy." And then I'd remember the empty seats at her funeral. Her aunt, her so-called family, had decided her goodbye wasn't worth their time. 3 weeks passed before my parents called again. I didn't answer. When I finally checked my voicemail, Mom's voice was light, rehearsed, almost cheerful. "Sweetheart, we think it's time you move on. We picked up a bracelet in Cabo for Emily's memory. We'll swing by soon." A bracelet! As if a piece of cheap jewelry could patch over the hole they carved into my heart. I saved the message and didn't reply. The next day, Chloe texted me, "Hey, hope you're okay. Sorry we couldn't make it. You know how Mom is about canceling plans. We'll plan something fun soon." Fun. That word made me see red. I pictured Emily's coffin again. I remembered holding her cold little hand one last time and whispering promises into the silence. And I realized something. They truly believed this would blow over, that they could spend $13,000 on paradise, skip my daughter's funeral, toss me a souvenir, and expect me to forgive them like I always had. Not this time. I stopped taking their calls. I stopped replying to messages. I didn't visit on holidays, didn't show up for birthdays. Every time my phone lit up with their names, I pictured that empty front row at Emily's funeral and let it ring out. At first, they didn't notice. They were too busy posting photos online of brunches and shopping trips, smiling like nothing had happened. But as weeks turned into months, the tone of their messages changed. "Sweetheart, please pick up. We're worried." "Honey, we can't go on like this forever. We're family." "Why are you shutting us out? We want to help." Help. They wouldn't even hold my hand while I buried my only child, but now they wanted to help? I deleted every message without replying. They had chosen their comfort over Emily's memory. Now they were going to choke on the same emptiness they'd fed me. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized silence wasn't enough. It was too easy for them to convince themselves I was just being dramatic. They needed to feel what it was like to have their own blood turn away. They needed to understand abandonment in a way that clawed under their skin and kept them awake at night. I started small. I quietly made sure their perfect little image cracked. Chloe's social media, full of curated family moments and "we're so close" captions, began attracting whispers. Friends started asking questions. "Where were you when your niece died?" People Chloe wanted to impress suddenly went cold, dropping her from group events, refusing invitations. It wasn't public exposure. It was quiet truth. Passed hand to hand, voice to ear, impossible for them to outrun. Then I made sure they felt the sting of being unwanted. Every time they tried to reach me, every family plan they made, every door they expected me to walk through, I left closed. I declined invitations without explanation. If they showed up at my house, I wasn't home. If they sent gifts, I donated them unopened. They had left me standing alone beside my daughter's grave. Now they'd know what it was like to stand on the other side of a locked door, needing someone, and realizing no one was coming. The months dragged on, and the panic in their messages grew. They didn't care when Emily needed love, but now they needed me, the daughter, the sister who had always forgiven, who had always been there no matter how cruel they were. And I was gone, like they had been gone for Emily. But even that wasn't enough. A single day of absence had broken me. I wanted them to feel that fracture over and over, until they understood what they'd destroyed. My silence had turned into a plan, one that would make them wish every single day for the rest of their lives that they had chosen love over a vacation. And when the time came to deliver it, they wouldn't see me coming. A year passed before they finally understood what being truly alone feels like. But even then, it wasn't enough for me. I had spent every night sitting on Emily's bed, holding her favorite teddy bear, promising her that one day they'd know what it was like to beg for family and find nothing but empty air. And that day was coming faster than they ever imagined. Chloe announced her engagement first, the big golden child moment everyone had been waiting for, the one where my parents could show the world their perfect family. Invitations were mailed, calls were made, but not to me. I wasn't supposed to be part of their big day. Until, 3 months before the wedding, Chloe reached out, her tone dripping with fake sweetness. "We'd really like you to come," she said, as if nothing had happened. "Emily would want us to be close again." I nearly laughed at the audacity. Emily had wanted love, not crocodile tears and beach cocktails. I didn't respond. And as plans moved forward, I started laying the groundwork for the final part of my promise. It wasn't going to be a scream fest. It wasn't going to be public shaming at a dinner table like some movie plot. No, this was going to be something they couldn't clean up or explain away, a wound that would never close. Weeks before the wedding, I quietly reached out to the people they cared about most, their friends, Chloe's future in-laws, the wealthy connections my parents had spent years clinging to. I didn't tell them gossip or stories. I simply mailed each of them a small white envelope with a single photo, a shot of Emily's small coffin surrounded by empty chairs. Underneath, in my handwriting, "These are the people you trust with family." The ripples spread fast. Guests started canceling RSVPs, citing unforeseen circumstances. Chloe's fiancé's parents began asking questions my family couldn't answer. My parents scrambled to do damage control, but the whispers followed them everywhere. On the wedding day, I didn't go to watch them smile. I went to watch them crumble. I stood across the street from the grand venue in the drizzle, hood pulled over my head. I saw them pacing outside. Chloe in her dress, my mother clutching her pearls, my father red-faced as he argued on the phone. One by one, expensive cars pulled up, dropped off envelopes instead of guests, and drove away. By evening, the grand ballroom was half empty. The ones who stayed looked at my parents with thinly veiled disgust. The officiant hesitated, the air thick with tension. Chloe's voice cracked as she tried to start her vows over the sound of murmured conversations about that funeral, about the granddaughter they abandoned. And then, as if fate itself wanted my promise kept, the groom's parents stood up, faces grim, and said, "We don't want this marriage tied to people who don't understand love or loyalty." They walked out, their son trailing after them, the engagement shattered in front of everyone. My parents sat frozen, Chloe sobbing in her ruined white dress, their perfect image shattered beyond repair. And for the first time in their lives, they had no one left to run to, not me, not their friends, not even each other. I didn't step inside. I didn't gloat. I didn't scream. I simply walked away, leaving them in the ruins of the family they chose to destroy themselves. Later that night, I lit a candle by Emily's grave and whispered, "They finally know, baby. They finally know what it feels like to be abandoned by the people who were supposed to love you most." And I swear, in that quiet moment under the stars, I could almost hear her tiny giggle in the wind, not sad, not pained anymore, just free. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.